Oh yeah, I used to just go to like a mic and then like leave as soon as I got off, and I would just go to another one, and like I would like have like like four like mics like in a night.
Yeah.
But I would just be like bombing 4 times, But I was like, but I'm doing 4. I got 4 under my belt.
Right. Yeah. The quantity was always a bigger like issue when you first start out. It's always like, I don't care. Like if I bomb, I don't care if they're shitty or whatever. I did 4 mics, I did 3 mics. I did 15 mics this week.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause I mean, and you hear so much about like was it the 10,000 hours or whatever?
Right. The Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah. And that gets like so drilled into you, and I'm sure it's true. I mean, it's definitely true. Yeah, I mean, if you do anything for that long.
Well, it's interesting because like there's a misnomer for that phrase itself, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, where like people take that phrase where they say in order to become like a professional or a famous or whatever, you got to do 10,000 hours. But what he was really saying in the book was every time when you look at a professional or see somebody that's been great at what they do, the one common thing that they have is that they've done it for over 10,000 hours.
So it wasn't.
So it's like, it's not like as soon as you do it for 10,000 hours,
like
you become great.
Yeah.
It's just everybody that's been great has been doing it a fucking long time.
Yeah. Like I'm sure by now, like I've probably.
Like Kobe Bryant, he's been playing basketball all his life. But if he played basketball all his life, that doesn't mean he's guaranteed to be Kobe Bryant. People can play basketball all their life and not become Kobe Bryant.
That's very true, man.
But I'm not saying like everybody should stop playing because like there's going to be a lot of people that aren't Kobe.
Yeah.
But let's look at also that he's an alleged rapist. So maybe some people don't want to be Kobe either in that regard.
I think,
Yep. I brought it there. It's my podcast. Who cares?
Oh, lordy lord.
Okay, but we got deep. I got deep, way too deep in last podcast with Brandon Jetty. I don't know how we did. I think it's just the climate and the air that we were living in.
He's a pretty charismatic guy.
He's cool. That guy's fucking a very awesome dude. I love him to death in a clearly like platonic heterosexual way. But he and I were talking obviously about the Louis C.K. shit.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I don't want to bring it up more, but it is. I hate that I talk about my opinions.
Yeah.
And then when I later hear about them, when I edit the show, I'm like, why did I say that? Like,
I get that.
I don't want to put any of this in the podcast.
It's tricky, man. No, it's tricky because of course it's all fucked up, But I feel like anything you say,
I just don't want to offend anybody. But it's just coming from a real place.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely fucked up, man.
Do you ever feel like you won't talk about something on stage?
There's definitely a lot of things I don't talk about on stage.
Like
I
what?
wouldn't talk about anything on stage that I wouldn't like necessarily talk to somebody in person. Like I always like if I can talk to you about the same thing in person, then I'll be able to talk to you about it on stage too. And there could be.
But what wouldn't you want to talk to somebody about in person?
Well, like I know some comics that sometimes are maybe a little too forward. I feel
with like.
Well, they'll be like, hey, are you fucking her yet? That kind of stuff. And,
exactly.
And I feel like when I go to a show and like even before I started doing comedy, that kind of stuff used to make me just like, I would be like, oh man, I hope he doesn't get to me, and I don't want to make anyone ever feel like that.
Like at a party.
Exactly.
You're like, man, this guy is kind of like asking everybody like, when was the last time they got head? And it's like, I don't want to tell this dude. Please don't ask me this.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. Like it's always funny like when you almost like forget that you're even in the place, like there's certain sets like that I've seen. If I could just say like one guy like Dom Irrera, he's one of my favorite
of course
comedians ever, and
he's a killer.
Yeah, and you almost forget like who you are. You're just laughing with everybody else, and I love that. And I would hate to put somebody on their toes in the audience because I feel like that distracts a little bit, and that's not really even, I mean, more power to the people that do it, but that's just not really my thing.
So are you saying you don't do a lot of crowd work, or you don't do?
I do, but just I wouldn't make people uncomfortable. And I think that's not to say that I didn't do that at first.
But you're not gonna. Would you say that you would put down like a heckler, or you know?
Yeah, but I mean, there's also like different ways. Like I've definitely gotten mad, like where you let them get you angry. But then there's other ways to take it, like. I remember I asked one guy, like, why are you being mean to me? Mm-hmm. And it totally disarmed him, And,
yes. When you put it on them,
yeah,
like Like, I'm trying to be this like funny guy. Like, why are you shitting on me? Like,
Exactly, yeah.
And a lot of times when you are actually genuinely funny, the audience will be with you. You know, they will like stand up for you and be like, yeah, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, man. But it's weird. Like, I've gotten angry at somebody, and in the audience, like, they almost feel like, oh man, like you almost like scolded them, and so everybody kind of like gets uncomfortable for that moment, you know. So that's why I just like that's not really the approach anymore.
Mommy getting hit, you know, at the dinner table.
Exactly. Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, like I used to see, you know, like my friends, like or like well, especially like if I got yelled at in front of my friends,
right.
and I go back into the room, right. You know, like I don't know, they're gonna feel a little weird around me, you know, and then it's that kind of thing.
I get that.
Yeah.
When was the first time you did comedy?
It was in October.
Or should I say stand-up comedy? You know?
Yeah, no, it was in October.
When was the last time you actually made someone laugh?
It was in October, close to Halloween. I can't remember the year. What was it? So it's, 4 years, man?
When did you first think about, like, I want to do this, and then how long did it take for you to actually get on stage?
To be honest, man, I always wanted to do this. You know, like my dad, he's a big fan of Richard Pryor. Like before I even knew who Richard Pryor was as a comedian, he liked The Toy for some reason. He loved that movie. And so I used to just watch that movie all the time, and I thought he was so funny.
That movie is very funny,
yeah,
but doesn't hold up because
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
slave
it
kind of, you know, innuendos.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, Jesus.
You know, while Jackie Gleason is buying a black man to hang out with his kid.
Yeah, man. I haven't even thought about that since. But when I was a kid, it was just funny.
Yeah, it was fucking really funny.
It was so goofy, you know. He was like tucked in with like the stuffed animals and
that whole piranha scene.
Oh yeah. But I don't know. I just thought that stuff was so funny, and
and of course, obviously, the stand-up itself.
Yeah, when I saw that and I saw how dirty he was, because it's only seen The Toy, and then I saw you know, the special where he's got, you know, the red shirt and he's just so alive and he's so dirty and he's so but he's, you know, very dark at moments, and I don't know, it was really cool. And like my dad, you know, it was like a thing that we bonded over, and it was pretty cool, you know. And I was like, but I could never do that. But I would try to be funny around my friends, of course, after that.
Clearly.
And I just love jokes, man. You know, like, you know, you just any jokes, you know, like street jokes, and you just hear it and it's almost like magic, you know. You say like these combination of words and somebody laughs, you know, and you don't know why, and you don't really go into it.
Open mics, interviews, and a podcast too. It's just a day in the life for Daryl Williams. Just a day in the life. Whose life? This comic's life.
Hello and welcome to This Comics Life. This is me, your host, D. Williams, aka Daryl Williams, aka Dumbass, aka Dude that's hanging out with a lovely male comic that has a great smile and haircut. I am talking about the I don't want to say famous just yet.
I'll get out of here.
But definitely famous within the open mic scene and famous in my heart.
Oh, Lord.
Yep, you like that intro?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about comedian Alex Rubio. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, famous in the open mic scene. I love that.
Right. I mean, I've. It's weird how you said that. Yeah, you've been doing it for about 4 years.
Yeah.
But I don't recall, seeing you
yeah.
the first time I started, because I started doing it maybe about a year and a half ago, and I don't think I ran into you until like maybe I was almost a year in, or 8 months in at least.
No, because it's like I started playing guitar, like just to compare. I started playing guitar when I was 16, but I never really like sat down and studied and, you know, learned how to do everything, you know. And so 4 years ago is when I did my first mic, but I didn't go up for months after that. And then I went up once again, and then I'd go up for maybe 2 months after that. And then
it was just very sporadic.
Exactly, you know. And then once I started working, I didn't go up for 6 months. And so when I met you is when I really just began to take it seriously, which was about 2 years ago, you know?
Right.
But yeah, there was all that time in between where it was just, like we were talking about earlier, where I would try to go to a lot of mics and think that slowly but surely I'll get good just by going up a bunch. But I was just bombing all the time, and then you can only take that for so long, so I just stopped going up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough, especially when you're already like in a weird place, before you even go on.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, life is in the way of your comedy. Everything around outside that you're, dealing with in your everyday life.
Yeah, I was in
and
school
that
at the
affects
time.
your comedy, so you're already in a weird headspace. You go in, and you bomb, and then you're just like, well, that didn't help.
Yeah, and then you start to weigh it out, Mm-hmm. But that was then, and then like then afterwards you start working for a little bit, or you're in school for a while, and then you start to feel like, well, maybe I like that more,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the few times that you do well, they feel so much better than when you're doing this,
Yes.
that other thing. And so that's when I started to take it seriously. Actually, going to Anchor Bar, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That place really helped me, because then
that place definitely is pretty much the haven for every comic in Orange County.
Yeah.
In LA, maybe too.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Evan Cassidy, man. He runs
the
a
cast,
beautiful thing out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, too, the Rec Room now. He's been doing a lot of shows
the
over
Rec
there
Room too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Please
and
go there.
Big ups to Kenny.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's so cool. Just
Lot
all
of
the things
people.
that are happening down in the OC, and
So much.
And because in the beginning, I was just going up to LA only.
And then you run your own mic as well.
Oh yeah, at the Lexington.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Tuesdays, the Happy Mic. Tuesdays we are from 6 to 7:50.
And how is that?
It's cool, man. People are everybody that goes up is very good.
So it's really that early, 6 to 7:50.
Yeah. But it gets filled, you know, and I love it, because people, they come there either from work, or they're trying to hit up other mics, and maybe it's their first mic.
Right.
And they're so cool with me, man, because sometimes they get out of work late, and I'll show up there late. And just this last time, like, they set it up, and yeah, man, it's cool. Because that could be a dark place if you haven't been to
I have
Lexington.
not, but I definitely want to go. If it starts that early, I can definitely hit it up.
It's one of my favorite places, just because.
And the
if you
Lexington is a bar,
you'll see.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a theater. Depending on, I think on like Google or on your Apple Maps, it comes up as a theater. I like to think of it as a theater.
Right.
It reminds me of like CBGB's. It's like our own little thing, And
what else is there like on other nights?
there's comedy every night.
Every night it's comedy.
It seems like that way, because if seems like Cassie Jenke, she runs a mic. I'm just gonna say all these people that run mics.
do it.
Cassie Jenke, she runs a mic. Brian Kelly, he runs a mic, I think. Matt Curry is running a mic there, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am. But no, there's tons of people. Oh man, I'm gonna forget. But anywho, doesn't matter. What is it? What I have to remember? But go there.
Yeah, go there any night, guys, and see
Yeah.
some comedy. Why not?
Yeah.
So speaking of which,
Ed
early.
Galvez runs a mic right after me.
Well, of course he does. Duh.
Or a show. It's a very good show. Yeah.
So speaking of shows and first, origins, we were talking about your first jokes. I don't think we brought them up actually, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember any of your first set?
Yeah, it was dumb. Well, of course.
It was dumb. Yeah.
It's very, very dumb.
I always like too that like you have this false confidence where you're like, yeah, that's gonna get them. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah, and then of course it all like doesn't, and you're just like, of course it would. Of course.
Yeah.
Why would have this worked? Like, why did I ever think this was gonna fucking work? Like I'm an idiot. Like none of this should have. I should have never even said any of this.
Yeah, man, it's funny. It's funny just to kind of play around with everything, because those moments, they feel real, and who's to say that they're not? But it is
definitely
funny
real for sure.
Yeah,
The thing that I noticed though is that it doesn't matter, after you bomb.
Oh, not at all.
Life doesn't change. No, it's never like I always felt this like
No
crucial,
big headlines,
like it's never like on the newspaper like Darryl Williams bombed everybody.
Can you believe it?
It's like the audience doesn't even remember after it really just
They
literally
don't even
happened.
care when you do well.
No,
there's no pause in that.
there's just like he fucking sucked a dick. Who's next?
Oh boy, yeah. No, man, it's crazy. I feel like
And
if you don't learn anything from it,
Yeah.
that's when the bomb starts to hurt, because then it's just like you just focus on it itself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But then if you're like, okay, next time I'm not gonna set the mic down and cause a PA to feedback and like upset everybody.
Right,
you know?
right. Maybe I shouldn't use it as a fake penis in the first minute.
A whole minute.
Yep. That's how I roll. Anyway, no, I feel like there's a lot of different times where like, yeah, like bombs could be very constructive. Mm-hmm. I'll look at certain things where I'm like, okay, that wasn't a bomb, but it wasn't like I did well.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, okay, I see where I had them. I see that initial like funny, like it's not like they didn't laugh. It's just, it could have been better, you know?
I always feel like that with every single set.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter, you know, how good or bad, it could always, I feel like there's always something I could have done.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think that's why, I mean, most comics never want to watch their specials for that reason. You know, because they're always going to think back like, oh, if I just said this, or if I just did this different, or blah, blah, blah. And it's always like, yeah, but you can't. Like, it's just that stamp in time. Like, for whatever it is, it's like, when you recorded it, that's what happened.
Yeah. I wonder how it must be at that point, you know, because, of course, like with open mics, like, I mean, your best open mic set isn't going to make you a king anywhere. You know what I mean?
No.
And so it's like, but when you're making a special, should you just leave it as is? You know, because most people, they don't do those jokes again, you know?
Right.
And so is it like go ahead.
I think it's also, you know, why they also film multiple nights.
Oh, yeah.
So they can, like, kind of get a combination of, like, okay, from these two recordings, we're going to make the best set.
Yeah.
You know? So maybe one night this joke didn't hit as well. The second night it hit better. We're going to now take that second night's cut. And then that first, you know, airing has a few bits that work better than the second night. So we're going to take those. And it's going to be like an amalgamation of both nights. Yeah. So it's going to, like, overall for the special, just look like you just crushed the whole night. You know, just every joke hit. Even though, in reality, maybe out of both of those performances, 80% hit. But it was a different 80%. So you take those two 80s and you create a 100 out of them.
Yeah.
But
it is funny, though.
But even then, most comedians are still like, yeah, but it could have been better.
Yeah. But even then, man, yeah, I guess that never goes away, especially if you're passionate about what you're doing.
Well, jokes like always evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why, like, it takes a year for you to actually do a special to begin with. Because it takes a year for you to actually go, like, to wring out every little thing about this premise or this, like...
You mean a year after many years?
Sure.
Or do you mean a year after being in comedy?
No, I'm just saying, like, let's just say a year between specials or whatever.
Oh,
or like, you know, like, if you're, like, thinking to yourself, okay, like, how long does it take from, like, the initial thought of a joke to putting it on a special? Whatever that time frame is, it's more than a day.
Yeah, man, and who knows, because it's like...
It's more than, like, how many times do you think the average guy has said that joke on stage before he records it?
Yeah. Well, it's like music, you know? It's like what you hear on the record is just what it sounded like then, you know? Or at least with certain bands, you know?
But you always also hear those bands that go like, oh yeah, we just went to the recording studio and just hung out there for a month and we made an album.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? You fucking wrote 8 songs in 2 weeks? And then put them on and you recorded them?
That always seems pretty, I mean, I'm so impressed by all that.
Like, man. What?
Yeah. I wish I could do that, man.
You know, and it was like Led Zeppelin or something, you know, where you're like, really? You wrote 8 hits. You wrote 8 number 1 hits in a span of 2 weeks.
Hey, who's got 8 hits?
I don't know, but there's probably a lot of singles on, you know, Led Zeppelin 2 or Zeppelin 4. I do like your delivery. I do like your, you know, your cadence, you know, your presence on stage, because I see that, like, you know, you have those moments where, yeah, you're very, you know, subdued, but then you'll have those big act outs and those big moments where, like, I'm envious, where I'm like, man, I wish I, like, jumped out more or did more, like your bits where you do with, like, you'll take the mic cord itself and, like, turn it into a prop and whatnot. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fun. I like that.
Oh, well, thanks, man. But easy.
It adds to it. I never knew how much, like, those little things matter.
Yeah.
Once I started doing it, then I'm like, oh, that shit matters.
Yeah.
Like, because I've done it. I've seen it myself. Where I'm like, oh yeah, if you animate more, at this moment,
Yeah, definitely.
it helps. Or if you do something more here, it
Yeah.
helps.
No, it's that one guy, was it Bob Newhart?
Right.
You know? I remember I was at the laundromat and I was listening to, I don't even know what the album was. And he just like had a bunch of characters in his act, and it really felt like there was tons of people on stage.
Nice.
You know?
In a number of mathematics books, they made reference to something that either proves infinity or the law of probability. They claim that if you take an infinite number of monkeys and an infinite number of typewriters and you set them down and they just type away, that eventually, given enough time, they would type all the great books. Yes. Now, they're going to type a lot of gibberish, but eventually they will type all the great books. Now, if they ever tried this, they would have to hire guys, you know, to check the monkeys to see if they were turning out anything worthwhile. So, I would like to present a day in the life of one of these monitors. Harry, I'm going to check post 14, see if he's got anything. Oh boy. I don't think that poor devil's ever going to write anything, you know that? Harry, hold on. Post 15 here has something. I think this is famous or something. To be or not to be, that is the Gazornenplatte.
And like that was like an idea, you know, and it made me just realize like why I'm always bombing, you know, because people don't necessarily, it doesn't, I don't know, some people really like wordplay, but I think more than anything people want to feel like there's a show or there's something going on that they can witness, you know what I mean? Because like those aha, like, oh yeah, you got us there with the words, you know, that works sometimes, you know.
Right. Well, I think
and I focused on that a lot too.
It's also the audience.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to always blame it on the audience, but I do notice, like, you know, when it comes to open mics, they're there for a different reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're not necessarily looking for the wordplay at an open mic.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
But maybe if it was at a book show where they were, like, there to see comedy, and everybody was like, yep, I want to see somebody that's I'm hoping to have, like, somebody make me laugh.
Exactly, yeah.
Then you can actually, I think, bust out those things where you're like, okay, I know these people are paying attention. I don't have to get their attention.
Yeah. No, man. But that's not to say that, like, I love the mystery of, like, the open mic, like, the audience. Like, you never know what the hell, like, if somebody's actually going to be listening that night.
Right.
I don't know. I just love playing to those different crowds all the time. You know?
I think that's the beauty of stand-up comedy is that there are so many different audiences that you will see throughout your career, and you will repeat. You will see over and over in your career. You know, it's like there's 6 different types of audience, and then you just see those 6 different types all throughout your career.
You've got them down to 6 now. Huh?
I don't know if there's 6. I just threw out a number, but maybe there's more. Who knows? But it is like there's open mic nights, but even variations of those open mic nights.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be those stadium nights, but even variations on those stadium nights.
Who knows, man? Who knows if we'll ever get
I don't even know
stadium
if I
night.
want to go to a stadium. Because to be
it would be
honest,
cool if you were playing music, man. For sure.
music is tight, obviously.
Or who knows? Because then you also see, like, on the...
But here's the thing, though, is that...
Let's hear it.
I've seen, like, Kevin Hart at, like, you know, the store. And it was, you know, cool. He was really funny. And it was just like a 15-minute set, and it was really sweet. But you could tell that he was kind of working out stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe not all of it was, like, polished. But then, I watched the special that he has on Netflix that's, like, the huge stadium shit. Yeah. And I'm not going to say it was dog shit, but I like the store set better.
Really?
Because it was more intimate. It was more like... he was kind of talking to this small crowd of people instead of like, I'm trying to make 50,000 people laugh right now.
Yeah, man. And I feel like maybe like places like this store is where like, you know, like the true setting for comedy.
Right.
You know what I mean? In like some dark club where is this intimate kind of thing. But I mean, the stadium show's got to, just with like music too. I mean, there's certain music that a dark, you know, cozy place like that, it's cool to do, and certain thing, maybe folk or something, but then you got the stadium, you got to, you know, play for that too.
Right.
And
that's the thing, like, when you're Maybe it's like the Beatles. Like, would you want to see them at like Shea Stadium, or do you want to see them like at a bar?
I would love to have been like it was the Cavern, right? When they was that what it was called? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess see them both, but
They're both like both environments would be amazing.
Yeah.
In retrospect, now that we know like who they are and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was like, I mean, I guess there is something to both, where you're just gonna get different experiences.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I was gonna obviously critique one over the other, I would take the intimate over the huge stadium.
Definitely, because you feel like you could take away a little bit of it, but
right, and it's more special because it is like for less people.
Exactly. But like, cause I've seen Kiss right at the Honda Center.
Oh, nice,
and that was. I think
with Gene Simmons.
Yeah, it was like one of their farewell tours,
nice.
the many that they've had.
Hell yeah!
And it was cool in the sense.
What's your favorite Kiss song?
Oh man, dude, I used to really like "Flaming Youth." I don't know why, and I listened to it again, and it's not that good. But when I was a kid,
"Flaming Youth."
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that Kiss song.
Yeah, it's really bad.
My parents think I'm crazy.
It's good, but I love Black Diamond too.
Hit it!
Black Diamond.
Yeah, Black Diamond. Yeah, I am familiar with that song.
Yeah.
I saw Mini Kiss in Laughlin.
What's Mini Kiss?
It's a midget version of Kiss.
Oh,
it's like a tribute band, but they're all little people.
Wow.
And they all dress up like
that must
Kiss.
Be really good.
And they're good.
Do they license I'm sure they make money off of that.
Oh, of course. I had to pay. It was like, $20.
No, I'm sure like Kiss probably like in the end also makes some money off of that too.
Of course. To license
Yeah.
the Kiss logo and all that. Yeah, of course.
Those guys, they make a ton of money off
Gene
of
Simmons
just
doesn't do anything without getting paid.
I've heard, I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but that he owns OJ.
What?
That like he saw that, not OJ Simpson, but he owns
okay.
No, that's not. But OJ, like
That's part of his parole is that he now he's owned by Gene Simmons now.
Yeah. Who knows, man? The way we're headed.
Right. But okay, so how does
he just like bought the rights to the word OJ, to use instead of the initials for orange juice.
Right.
And
so
he makes money off of it.
Yeah, anytime when somebody uses the word OJ, he wanted to also license the Rock logo.
No way.
Where anytime when actually people did this motion, that would be his like license.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know how you could do that.
No.
Like, I mean,
maybe Kiss Army would go after you, dude. Oh man.
What do you think the most like obscure Kiss memorabilia item is?
The one I always think about is the black soap.
Black Kiss soap.
Yeah.
It's just a bar of soap.
Yeah, and it's just black, and it's just
and it's just solid black.
Yeah.
You would think it would,
which is supposed to be like the best kind of soap, right?
I don't know. I didn't know that black soap was better.
I think so. Yeah.
It's made from.
When I was a kid, I remember. I don't know, but I remember. I think I used to think
like
called
a
lava or
pumice?
something.
Yeah, the pumice stone soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lava stuff will definitely get out like most, like grease and like heavy stuff.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember some
Kiss soap.
Yeah, Kiss soap, man. But yeah, that is the best soap.
You would think it would look like a giant tongue, like a big red tongue, but it's soap.
But they're smart guys, they want to make sure that people's going to buy these things.
Like I want to say there's probably at least like Kiss condoms, maybe Kiss maxi pads,
I'm sure. I wouldn't
Kiss
doubt it.
tampons, Kiss toilet paper for sure.
Oh, the toilet paper I'm sure is there.
What about like Kiss tax forms or like
I wouldn't doubt it. The fact that there's like Dodgers coffins.
Oh wow, right. There's got to be a Kiss coffin for sure. And what about like a Kiss hot air balloon?
There has to be one. New Mexico, I'm sure. There's somewhere in the desert of New Mexico.
A Kiss submarine? Yeah, that would be sweet.
In the future.
Yeah, right.
That's where we're headed, yeah.
Why? Who wouldn't want to own a Kiss submarine?
The Kiss Army and the Kiss Navy, dude.
In the Kiss Navy?
Yeah.
That sounds a little redundant.
Oh, boy.
Ayo. In the Navy. All right. What else should we get into? Do you remember your first set? Like,
yeah.
Do you remember like the jokes that you attempted?
Some of them.
Or that you pulled off? Did it go well?
I wouldn't think so. I didn't necessarily like if I looking at it back on it now.
Yeah.
I would say I absolutely bombed.
Do you record all your sets?
Yeah, but that's only something I've done. I did like halfway through, like in the last 2 years.
So you didn't start recording it?
Not at all.
It was like year 2. You're like, I probably should record these.
Yeah, and even then, it's like the first time I did it, I didn't go up for like a long time after that.
Oh, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I went up once and then went like, well, that was a thing. And then just like didn't go up for like 8 months later.
Did you do well your first time?
Kind of.
Did you feel like you didn't want to wreck it? Like you did well? It's like, all right, I don't want to blow it.
I just didn't think, it was so like out of the blue on how I did it in the first place where obviously I've talked about it on before, but it was like Eric Escobar.
No way. I love that guy.
He's a great guy.
Eric, if you're listening, I love you. He runs the Brothers mic.
Yep,
go to Brothers in Gardena.
Yep.
Great mic.
Wednesdays, man. Big ups to Eric.
Oh, yes.
But we knew each other from college. Oh, no. And he hit me up one day and was like, man, you're funny. You should do this show that I'm, hosting. He was like, doing a show at the Improv Space.
Crazy. Over
in fucking Westwood.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, just, get 5 minutes together. And I'm like, what? This is like 2 weeks like out.
Yeah.
So I had like 2 weeks to just like come up with something, just a few premises mainly.
But were there things that you already knew like worked amongst your friends?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran through some stuff like with other people that I knew. Like, hey, is this something?
Oh, but you wrote all new stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I had a bit about confusing Instagram with a weed delivery app, like Instagram.
Uh-huh. Oh, boy.
And then I was like, yeah, you just take pictures of your empty bowls, and then like somebody just shows up with weed, and you're like, that sounds like a sweet app.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. But then you end up just like, showing your mom that you fucking smoke weed all the time.
Yeah, I didn't see the mom thing coming in.
Right. But it's like something that I don't bust that joke out still. But it was like one of those first like, okay, I think that's like a joke, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure you had the confidence because you don't even really know what like bombing really is.
No. No. And of course, yeah, it was a very like forgiving room.
Oh, yeah.
And he definitely talked it up where he was like, hey, guys, this is his first time doing this, so...
They don't want to crush your dreams,
Be gentle.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And then, like, of course, like... And then I remember going into a Bane bit from Dark...
Bane from
Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Where he sounded like Mr. Belvedere. And then, like, that kind of went over well.
Let's hear a little bit of it.
Like, freaks on the title. Never met him before. Who cares?
That's pretty good,
I live in the shadows. Like, why would you want him to sound like a posh British man? Like,
like he's
supposed to be this, like, gruff, like,
what the fuck are you doing? I'm Bane.
Instead, he's like, hi, would you like some tea?
Yeah, it was a little weird. Like, he would drop it and be like, oh, yeah, it was kind of strange.
And I don't mind it. Like, I do like the filter of, like, the mask and stuff where it, like, kind of had that metallic scuba sound.
Oh, yeah. I didn't understand a word he said throughout the movie.
You needed the subtitles?
I was actually upset. I thought that the sound was wrong.
Oh,
or something was. It was at the AMC 20. I was like, I'm never coming back here, dude.
Man, what the fuck is wrong with this theater?
Yeah.
Can't even hear Bane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, Bane sounded weird. And then you had Christian Bale sounding like...
Yeah, man. Did they use... Well, they had to have, right? Some sort of special effects for his voice like that. That's not natural.
I think it was... I mean, it was his voice, but they did drop it probably a little bit in post.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Because he did have an American accent, too, which is always interesting because he can pull that off pretty well.
Wait, are you suggesting something?
That he's secretly American?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
He's been pulling off the British accent.
Damn. Isn't he playing in the new Dick Cheney movie? He's going to be Dick
Oh,
Cheney or
yeah,
something?
that's right. Yeah.
I honestly didn't start listening to Led Zeppelin until I feel like I was like a little too old. But they're good.
But we've heard of, I mean, I'm sure there's a million bands that do that, you know.
Yeah.
They write 3-4 songs in a week, or they're on tour, and, you know, they write a song in between fucking, like, Buffalo and New Hampshire. But I feel like that with comedy, too, like, sometimes where you're like, do you feel like sometimes, like, for certain instances, just writing comes easier? Like, just like, oh, for that week, I just came up with 8 different things that just came to me. But then next week, it's like nothing. Everything that I thought was stupid.
No, it really is just the consistency of doing it. You know, I feel that, like, if you're just writing every day, it's kind of like you're going fishing every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Right.
maybe you'll land a big one. Maybe you'll land a ton one day. You know what I mean? But I feel like with me, that's how it's always been even with when I was in school, you know? Like, I feel like I would only get, like, ideas on papers or something, like, randomly when I wasn't trying. You know what I mean? And it's the same way with, like, jokes, like, where I'd get my ideas just from something while I was writing another joke that I will never perform, you know, because it was so bad.
So
But
are you pretty, like, regimented? Do you, like, set time aside to write?
I try to, you know, but then that's the thing. It's like, well, like right now, my mind just jumped to school because I'm in school, and so I'm trying to, you know, finish this, and then that way I could focus back on comedy, you know. And I know that people can do it, you know, both at the same time,
Right.
you know. And I don't know, I'm just about to graduate, and so comedy is something that I feel like I want to just dedicate all my time to, and the writing and everything like that. I feel like if you're not doing it consistently, it's kind of hard to develop that rhythm. You know what I mean? Because it is something where, like, if you're constantly writing, these ideas just shoot out sometimes. You know, because
You definitely
you're just
have
ready
to
to catch them.
treat it like a job in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it's
God damn, how long did that take to say? But it is. It
yeah.
absolutely is
I
like a
mean,
job.
Yeah.
You know.
And obviously, as comics, we don't want to, like, say, like, oh, it's a job. It's, you know, yeah, there's a lot of aspects that make it seem like it's not a job.
Yeah.
But obviously, everybody that's successful is treating it like a job because they have to.
Yeah.
You know, if you're making money at it, especially, you have to devote pretty much every single second to it.
Definitely. You know, and that's the thing. It's like.
And when you're not on stage, you got to be thinking about stuff that you're going to go on stage with.
Yeah. No, I remember I was talking to somebody about, like, you know, I was like, you know, sometimes I feel like having, like, a little side business, you know? He's like, if you have a side business, there's no way you're going to be able to do comedy and
I'd like a little side piece.
Oh, boy. A little piece of pizza.
I mean, I guess I'd have to have, like, a primary piece first to have, like, a side one. But
You know,
still.
What are we talking about anymore?
I don't know. Yeah, oh, boy.
But, no, man. I don't know. Your cat's really getting into it over there.
Oh, no. Well, she's a cat, so that's what they do. They lick their butts.
Now, would you say that she's nice?
Yeah. I'd say she's a cat, though.
Because she bit me within minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, but that was a play bite.
I did notice that because the way she came at me was very cute, and that's why I was surprised by it.
So there's a difference, and sometimes people that aren't cat people, they can't tell the difference, or they're not aware of the difference.
See, that's what it is. I hang out a lot with dogs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, cats, they definitely
out
like
with
to,
them.
like, you know, they're I think they're very masochistic. They like to,
Cats?
like, yeah, put things in their mouth. You know, they're like babies, where you
Yeah,
know
'cause I was
they have
asking
to
you-
have a lot of stuff in their mouth just to do it. I don't know, but
Babies need that, huh?
it's like a sensory thing.
Yeah, I can. Oh, yeah, because those little was those little jelly, like, teething rings things.
So I don't know. Like sometimes,
I
like
get that. I mean,
cats,
you
they
watch
just like to
toothpicks.
they like to gnaw and stuff. Like you watch like wild cats, they're always like biting on each other and shit.
Yeah.
But now it's like if you have a cat that's like playing with a person that doesn't know that like cats do that, they have a cat like kind of gnaw at them, and they're like, "Oh my god, this cat bit me!" And you're like, "Dude, it didn't." You'll know when it.
Yeah,
because
I was asking you. It's like I'm petting it, but it seems to be biting me. Is this fine? And you're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely like there's a bite, and then there's a fucking bite.
Yeah. No, because I was gonna feel bad because generally, I do pretty well with animals, man.
Right? You're like a whisperer.
Something. I'll
You
sit
can
on
talk to them.
If I sit on the couch, the animal in the house will come to me, and we're like friends, you know.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
You know, like it's definitely not a good sign in the other way. You know, where they're like
that'd
cowering
be
in
horrible,
fear.
right? Yeah. No, actually, no, that'd be terrible.
If somebody came over in my house and my cat tried to like hide under the bathtub,
yeah,
I would be like, "What's up with my cat, bro? What are you?"
You saw you came right to me.
Yeah, so I'm already like, yeah,
All
Alex must be awesome.
All right, cool. Hey, you heard it. The cats agree.
Yep. We still haven't talked about your first thing.
Hey.
We keep getting distracted.
So I think one of the jokes was a Greenpeace joke that I don't remember at all.
Because you were in Greenpeace, or you just thought
No,
about,
literally.
like,
Okay, so the way it happened was one of my friends, he knew these guys that Wub Seville, Rob Weissman, and they ran this mic in the Comic Book, which is a comic book store, which I think they still run shows there sometimes. And my friend randomly was just going to do comedy. And like I said, like I've always wanted to do comedy, and my friends just like randomly said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go. Do you want to come with me? Let's just go." And kind of put it like, just get out of class and we'll go.
Right.
And for me, I just never wanted to do it, even though I always loved it and I loved to watch it and I was a big fan of comedy. It's like a bubble you don't want to burst. You know what I mean? Because you go up. I thought like, man, if I hate this or if I do really terrible, I'm never going to want to do this, and I'm going to.
Right.
I don't know.
It's going to taint the comedy scene for you, and
Exactly.
you're not going to want to see other people do it anymore.
Yeah. So.
But that didn't happen.
No, if I look back on it now, my set, I bombed. You know what I mean? But it just felt so cool to be up there.
Yeah.
And
was it a decent crowd?
Yeah, they were so forgiving, I would say. You know what I mean? Because the only like good joke that I had, and I can't even say it was a good joke, but the only joke that he did anything was this one about Stephen Hawking that, because you could probably tell by now that I slur my words, and so when I was a kid, I was in speech, and I don't know, I was thinking about that because we're just driving over there to the open mic, and it was kind of, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about? And it's like, well, I'll talk about Stephen Hawking, and
now,
he has speech impediment.
Were you ever like writing it like before this?
Never.
No.
Never. So I'm writing shit in the car, I don't know why, because I was watching his show. And this isn't like, I'm not knocking Stephen Hawking. I think he's an amazing guy,
Right.
Oh, Jesus. But anywho, I'm writing down this joke about how it's dumb, but that he was a hero of mine, just not because he overcame all these obstacles and still became just this iconic person, but that, the small things too didn't stop him either because he had a speech impediment, that he overcame. And that I used to hear stories about him at the dinner table being like, "Mom, can you please pass the beep, 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 beep?" And I think I did that for like 15 seconds. And like people were just laughing from how dumb it was. But it felt so good,
And you committed to it.
Yeah, that's what it was, I think. And
that's hilarious.
well, it was dumb, but it was that one little moment that then afterwards you're like, okay, that feels good. But then I didn't go up for months after because you don't want to ruin it.
Right.
And
it was like a one-off. It was like so spontaneous. You were just like, yeah, that was something fun we did one night.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to now do this for a living.
Yeah, no, because I can't lie and say that I didn't feel like immediately like this is what I want to do.
Right.
But I just felt like it's still not in me.
Right. I had that one night like when I did karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just got up one night and like I fucking killed it.
Yeah.
I sang it Against All Odds.
Oh, boy. Flashbacks.
Phil Collins. Fucking, and And yeah, like the whole audience was just eating it. And for like that 5 minutes or whatever, like I was this like huge god for the
Dude,
like.
there's so many similarities between karaoke and like being at the open mic, you know?
Yeah.
Just that like anybody could come and kill.
Mm-hmm.
There's an open mic over at the Prospector
Yes.
tonight. You know?
Oh yeah.
They do it Wednesdays and Fridays, and I love it because people from all over Long Beach
And
come.
it's a
there.
mixed mic, right?
What do you mean mixed mic?
Where there's all different talents. It's not just comedy. It's like
Oh
music.
no! It's an actual just karaoke, straight
Oh
karaoke.
right, it's just karaoke. That's
Yeah.
right. I've heard a lot of people going to the Prospector.
Yeah, man.
For
It's a great place,
karaoke.
yeah. Everybody goes up. I mean, the waitresses go up after their shifts, and they kill it. You
I
know
was
what
gonna
mean?
say, yeah, we should hit it up later.
Yeah, dude. It's just cool, man. Like the guy that like works at the laundromat, he goes
Right.
and he's got the most beautiful voice. You
Wow.
know, and it's cool because it's like people like in the comedy scene, it's the same way. Like you wouldn't know that like the dude that I don't know, he's like stocking shelves or whatever, is like gonna go up later and like just crush it. You know what I mean? And then he's gonna go back to his like job the next day. But it's like those things that keep you going. You know,
That was
keep
one.
me going, man.
I've talked about this before, but there's this when I first went up, when I started trying to like actually do it.
Yeah.
I went to Bricks and I was, yeah, that was maybe the first 4 or 5 times I was going there, and
I love that mic, by the way.
yeah, it was a great mic.
John Silver, great mic.
Not there anymore though.
No, he's not there no more. But
No.
hey, in memory.
Supposedly somebody said there's rumors that
Oh,
it's
boy.
going to start up again, but who knows?
Oh lordy, lord.
And I don't know how in what capacity, but if anybody does it, that's awesome. It's a great room.
Yeah.
It's a cool place. Anyway, I was there, and I literally followed the guy that was a chef there, and he went just
Oh boy.
up, and he was called. He did this character called the Ranch Robot.
The Ranch Robot.
Yeah, where he basically said like, "There's so many people that ask me for fucking ranch in this like restaurant. I just want a robot that will go and give out ranch to people, so I don't have to do it all the time." And then he basically proceeded to go pretend to be this robot that would go
That's so
then
good.
jizz ranch onto people's tables.
What the hell?
Because clearly,
And he works at this place.
yes. So then he would pretend to be a robot that went and jizzed on like everybody's table,
Didn't
and he
see
would
that
do that
coming.
for his whole 3-minute set. You know, he would
boy.
just go from one table to the next, and clearly
But why,
he would kill.
This is on his shift.
Yes, this was like after
Dude,
his
this guy
shift
found
or
a way
whatever.
to do
You
it.
know, like
Yeah.
it was just like he literally like came from the kitchen and just went on stage,
Wow, man.
and then obviously like everybody loved it. He committed, and then I was like, oh, I gotta fucking follow the Ranch Robot. Whoa, this is what open mic comedy is. Okay, got it.
I'm amazed that he's allowed to just
that's
like
the-
act like that.
But I've
like
never
at his
seen
job.
him since.
That's so
That's
crazy.
the thing. Like,
who knows
he
if that's his
just-
last day?
Maybe
Who knows?
because
dude?
I saw him twice there,
Oh boy.
and then I never saw him ever again.
Did he do the Ranch Robot?
Both times, and they killed both times.
The
Everybody,
customers didn't mind.
everybody loved it.
Maybe
Everybody
that's what
loved
the
it.
guys thought. The managers like the customers don't care. Why should we?
Yeah, and like it was definitely like him, like obviously like taking out his frustration.
A committed guy like to his job does not do that. You know what I mean? Some guy
Right.
who's ready to put it all on the line.
Oh yeah, he's
does
clearly
that.
not working there anymore for sure.
Yeah. He was probably surprised that he got to do it twice.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like the first time I went on right before him, and then the second time I went on right after him.
Yeah.
And it was definitely better to open for him than to close for him.
But was it graphic? It wasn't like obscene?
No, he would literally go and like do the jerk off motion and everything, but it would all be in this like robot, you know, like
My God.
and just totally just be jerking off in this like robot way.
Man. Who knows?
But he
dude?
committed. He definitely committed to it. Let's play.
I don't know. I mean, just I guess rock and roll. If I'm gonna be dumb about it.
But like OG, like originals, not like
Yeah.
covers. Or
No, we played original stuff. I think we played a couple covers. We didn't play for very long, to be honest.
Mm.
You know,
And you played
bass.
nice.
I still play, but
Yeah, I play a little bass.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, who are your guys? Well,
Of
what got
course,
into it?
Geddy Lee.
Oh, yeah.
And
So you like that kind of stuff, yeah.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Les Claypool too. I mean, he was amazing. I saw him at the Tool concert.
Oh, no way.
They
Are they good?
Yeah, it was. They reunited, or they came out of like fucking retirement.
What was his name? Maynard was his...
Yeah, Maynard was the lead singer.
Yeah.
Or is.
I'm-
He makes wine now
That's what I heard, up at Sonoma or something, right?
in Arizona.
Oh,
Close though.
wrong.
Yeah.
Close but wrong.
There's a documentary on Netflix about it, or
Are you kidding?
something. Yeah, there's a documentary on it.
Dude, somebody was just telling me about him in relation to the wine, and I didn't realize. Maybe that's why. I
Yeah.
think that'd be such a cool like
I saw him like
thing to get into, dude.
it was this last summer,
Yeah.
and then it was Tool and Primus and a few other bands. It's tight.
Where was this? Like out in
Out in
Riverside or
DeVore.
something?
Yeah, out in fucking San Bernardino.
Yeah, they have good shows out there, dude.
Mhm.
You got to drive them.
Yeah, it was definitely a drive, but it was tight. It was very cool.
Pretty cool, man. Did you ever want to be a musician?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
I still do.
Yeah. If you could, or would that be something that like you could see yourself maybe? If you could do it all over, would you have rather have been a big musician or like a big comedian? What would you rather do?
I like both, but that's the thing. Like, I do feel like the musician can hide behind music in a different way than comedians can hide behind their jokes. You know, I think you get a little bit more exposed when it's jokes versus music. Like, I think people will give you that pass. You know, like, if you're conservative or liberal or whatever, like, you can still like Freebird no matter what. Just because you like Freebird. You know, you like that music. But if you're like a comedian and you're liberal or conservative, like you're going to hear a joke that they say and then you're going to be like, I don't like that. That offends me. Or they said something that I don't agree with.
I don't know.
And now it's so divisive. Now you have somebody going like, I don't like that comedian. You know, and yeah, I'm not saying like nobody ever sings a song about something controversial.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people don't give credence to the lyrics to most songs. You know, they're just listening to the like music. You know, they're just hearing the actual notes and going like, well, it's pleasing. I like that melody. You know, yeah, I don't know what they're actually saying, and I don't really care.
Yeah.
But if you did tell me like, oh yeah, they're actually singing about how they love Nazis, maybe I would then care.
That'd be a crazy song, dude.
But most people, that's the thing. Like, do you know every single lyric to like songs that you like?
No, but it's like I don't know, like even my own jokes, like every exact word and phrase, you know, like
Right.
But it's like,
But you know the premise,
yeah.
and you know the subject.
But I do believe that there are, like, I mean, I've seen them. There are. I do believe there are comics out there that they can go up in a room that where them as people maybe, like, you know, like we were saying, like if you don't expose yourself, you know, the people in that audience may not have exposed themselves to someone from that culture, someone from that background that's going up, and they kill, you know, because they find some sort of middle ground. And I think that's the challenge, you know what I mean? Because to go up there and to just, you know, always do well isn't necessarily...
Well, that's the thing, too.
know.
I think you also put yourself out there more where, yeah, if you... Especially if you're not doing original stuff. Like, the one difference with music versus comedy is that you can't do other people's bits in comedy.
Yeah.
You can play other people's songs in music.
Yeah.
You know, I can go and play all covers of whoever I want.
Yeah. But
And-
how far would you go doing that?
Maybe, who knows? Maybe not far. But I could definitely, like, you know,
Starbucks CD.
play the bar circuit or whatever and do, like, you know, cover band
It'd
stuff.
be the same if you were doing jokes. If you were stealing somebody's jokes, you could probably go up at some bar.
Yeah,
or like
most
an open
people
mic.
probably wouldn't know that you're
Exactly.
stealing it until you got to a certain level.
Yeah.
Then people would realize, like, oh yeah, this guy is taking jokes from other people.
Yeah.
But it is like, with that fact, like, you can hide behind, like, okay, as long as I play the notes right, and as long as I know how to technically play this song,
Yeah.
I'm going to do all right.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to give me shit. Maybe they don't love that song because they just don't personally like Lynyrd Skynyrd or whatever.
Yeah.
But as long as I play Ramblin' Man
Yeah.
the way Ramblin' Man's supposed to be played,
Yeah.
people are going to dig it, you know?
Very true.
But with comedy, it's never like that. It's not. I mean, when you get to a certain stage in your career, you can be like, okay, this is my act. I have a very strong feeling over the last 3 years that people are going to laugh at these jokes because they laughed at them for the last 3 years.
Yeah, because there's the act and everything.
But it's that first time. It's that open mic scene. It's that, like, I'm just trying this out. I don't know if it works. It's like, but once you find out that it works, then it's like, okay, I'm confident. I know it works.
Because you always come up with new stuff. Every time I see you always got a new set. And do you feel...
That's my biggest, I think, problem is that I'm always trying to new stuff that I never hone an act out. You know, I never find jokes that are like, oh, well, that work. I'll just say that now every single time I go on stage.
Yeah.
I just get bored. I'll do a month of a joke and be like, okay, I did it, and I got a bunch of laughs, and I'm satisfied, and now I'm moving on to something else that I want to try out. Like, it's never, I don't know if it's like an improv person in me or it's like somebody that just, I don't know. Like, it's not like I've never said something twice. Yeah. Like, I say things plenty of times.
No, I know that, yeah.
But I think it's also me and my mentality of, like, with the open mic scene, I judge my audiences. Where if I know it's just a comic mic, and only 5 people here are other comedians, I'm going to try to do everything that they haven't heard before, just because I want to try something new on them.
Yeah.
If I know that there's a civilian there though that hasn't heard anything that I've said before and they're just seeing me for the first time, then I'll try stuff that I know. I don't give a shit about the comics then. You know, it's like I'm gonna now try my act. I'm gonna, like, because there's a real person here that's never seen me. But if I know it's like you and Dakota and a bunch of other dudes, and you know that I'm all
at that point,
it's like, okay, why try out material that you've already heard 50 times already? And I already know that you like it. So I'm not like, oh, I hope this works on Dakota. It's like, no, I already know it works on Dakota. Why say it again?
And that's when the cool stuff happens, you know, when you're
going I get that, though. Yeah, you can try. There are those moments where even though you've said it 50 times, for whatever reason, a spark comes out of it. Something new, suddenly shows up.
You know, because you want to change it.
Right.
You know, for something.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's so cool about all of this, you know, it's just because I used to really take a lot of this stuff in the open mics personally, but it's like a gym, you know?
Right.
And so it doesn't make sense because then when you start to go up at clubs and you realize, like, these people, especially once they get to a club, like, they want you to do well. You know what I mean? Because or else they wasted all this money.
Yes.
You know? And so they're already
hoping
halfway
you're
there.
doing well.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I mean, that's the one thing that I think gave me a lot of hope was when the first time I went up at a club and you do well and you're just like, oh shit, all these jokes that I've been like working on that I thought were just okay or shitty now are getting a reaction from people because they're in that setting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think, like, in some ways, like, a lot of comedy open mics are a great place for comedy, but sometimes they're the worst place for comedy. You know? And there's a weird, and it could be in the same room that it feels that way. But I think that really challenges you to do your best stuff, you know? And I think that's one thing that I've definitely noticed out here. Why I think, like, you know, we have so many good comics out in LA and the OC is because a lot of these rooms can be kind of tough to just work out new things, you know? So by the time you're already got it honed down.
Yeah, like at Anchor Bar, I'm not trying out new stuff there.
Yeah. No, and I know.
Even though it's an open mic, technically, you know?
Yeah. And because you also don't want to, I mean, no matter what, bombing is bombing, and you can't differentiate. I mean, I'm sure bombing at a club, of course, would suck. You know what I mean?
Clearly.
But, yeah, you don't want to bomb in front of, like, all those people, because that's, like, a really big open mic, you know what I mean? It's like a show.
Yes.
I think
it's definitely a showcase show, for sure.
Exactly. And I think Evan definitely treats it that way, and it does make you want to do better. You know what I mean? Because the people that are there, they're there, they're having a good time. And I think that it's like good practice. And to be honest, that's why I feel like going up there helped me get better, you know, because you're going up and it's almost like you have this little like dummy show. You know what I mean? I can go up for 3 minutes, and if these are getting good reactions from real people, then this is going to work in a club too.
Yeah,
you know
what I mean? It's definitely a good judge of, oh, this is working, this isn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those only open mics that have like a really decent, good, real audience, not just other comics. Which I will say, there are definitely other comics there.
Yeah.
but they don't make the majority of the audience.
Yeah, it's just like every mic's different. In that one, for that one, if you want to get like a sense of like what like a regular show would be, you know, I think that's like a good way to kind of transition into that. And then there's other mics like, if I could say, Cassie Jenkins' mic on Thursday. If people haven't gone there
At Lexington.
Yes, at the Lexington. It's one of my favorite mics because it really forces you to try to find whatever either
and it's
the
just
truth of
another
it, the
open
funny
mic?
of it, exactly. You know, but I see people there go up and do just amazing things. You know, and it's cool because you know that sooner or later they're going to go do it at a club.
Yeah,
and you get to see the beginning of it.
Yeah,
you know, and I love that.
Yeah, it is always nice to see the birth of a bit and to see it like, you know, grow. And like, you know, I see so many comics like, oh, that first time they did it, you're like, it didn't do anything. Then 2 months later, you're like, wow, that turned into a real bit.
Dude, I love that, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's cool because then that almost like builds that sort of camaraderie around each other.
Yeah.
You know? Because
and you want to do just the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's wanting to try to be that guy.
Yeah. You know, and that's one thing, especially like with our group out here, you know, all of us in Long Beach, I feel like we definitely grow a lot, you know, together, you know, and we build a lot of jokes together, you know,
Sure,
like because
sure.
we go to the same places and you see them, and that's, I mean, when I was younger, and I didn't do comedy, you'd hear about certain scenes, you know, and you don't realize it's just like music, you know, in the same way that with comedy,
Totally.
you know, it's just like there's a few people that are all kind of just vibing off each other. It's pretty cool. And the customers, everyone was just cool with it.
They were laughing.
Damn,
It's
dude.
not like they were like, you know, he didn't bomb for sure. But it was one of those things where it's like, I saw that once, maybe, you know, obvious, or twice.
Yeah.
That was it. Never again. I've never seen him at
Yeah.
any other mic. I talk about him all the time. I ask other open micers, like, do you remember the Ranch Robot? Do you remember this guy? Because I don't even know his name. Like, I don't remember.
That's the story he tells at barbecues. Like, that's how he quit his job, you know, with the Ranch Robot.
Yep, there was this stupid open mic at this restaurant that I worked at that I hated, and I went on stage one night and fucking pretended to jerk off on everybody.
And then I did it the next week.
And they loved it.
Man. Was it, I mean, that's just crazy that he got away with it.
Right.
Nowadays, I mean, it's just, I mean, fuck.
So,
Crazy.
do you feel like you turn on the accent more when you go on stage?
Which accent? Oh, lordy lord.
I'm not saying you have a big accent
Yeah.
in your normal talking voice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do notice, though, that you do have certain material that does involve, you know, this is a Mexican talking or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, when I have a character that I want to do, I want to make it real, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I mean, when I was a kid, I remember people used to say that I sounded like Dr. Evil. English is my second language, man. And for some reason, I learned it all from, like...
Well, when you do, like, that corn bit...
Oh, for that, you have to do it like that.
You have to, like, make the accent very thick.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because it's just... It's truthful. You know what I mean? Because
if
I
that
did
guy
it...
has to be super Mexican.
Well, because he is. You know? I mean,
Yeah.
at least the one in my neighborhood.
Right. In every neighborhood he
Yeah.
is. It
And
wouldn't
so-
be real if he was just sounding
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah, man. And so that's the whole thing. It's like, in that joke, and
Which
if
is
people don't
it's
know...
so hilarious. I don't want to spoil it, but it's
yeah,
a
I
funny
mean,
joke.
and the whole thing, it's just about some guy trying to go under, you know, the radar now, you know, as a Mexican elote man, you know. And so the way that he might pronounce things might change. And so I kind of felt that. I remember I was, there's a fruit guy, actually, across the street from my work.
There's a guy that comes out right here every day, and he sells everything. It's not just the corn. He sells all the, chicharrones, all
delicious.
that stuff.
Yeah, man.
The hot dogs,
Yeah.
everything.
No, and so the thing is, like, this guy, I was trying to talk to him in Spanish, you know, my Spanish isn't the best, you know, but he refused, and he only wanted to talk in English. And I thought that was very strange because that wasn't the case before. And so I wondered why, you know, and then just kind of, well, it's like...
Such a good idea.
You know, yeah. And it's one of those things exactly like we were talking about, man, where how like you're just kind of present for that moment to get that idea. You happen to be already writing, so you go write it. You know what I mean? And
I'm not gonna lie too, though, that corn shit is so good.
oh, it's delicious.
So good.
It's delicious, man.
There's always been that
Talking
guy
about
in my
elotes, by the way.
Yeah, there's always been that guy that's been in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And there's also, I remember, is the same guy like the dude that sells the tamales? Is that the same dude?
I wouldn't doubt it. He's like the Superman. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He goes in the phone booth and comes out with like a little tamale cart.
Because
you know?
there would always be a guy in my neighborhood that would sell tamales,
Yeah.
and that guy was amazing too.
Yeah, man. It's just, I
And-
mean,
and
people
it-
have to make money somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like a service to. I always used to think that they go around with a honk, 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 you know,
Yeah, right?
And you go out and you got the tamales, you know, and it's fucking cool because like where else do they just announce that food's outside? You know what I mean? And you scramble, you get your money, and you go outside. And
Yep.
it's amazing.
Yeah, because like obviously ice cream has a big like stranglehold on like, hey, let's just drive around and have people
Oh,
buy
yeah.
it from us. But in reality, it's like, yeah, why doesn't everything just do that? Like,
Yeah.
clearly, obviously, we have the food truck craze.
Well, not
so
only
that's
that, but like now with like Postmates and everything,
Right.
it's like we're used to things being just right outside the door. Why
Right.
don't they just do that now? They should have like the food trucks should have like songs on them, you know? They just play. Oh, that's the grilled cheese truck.
right?
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, you hear that sound?
Yeah.
You hear them bumping Skinnerd?
Yeah.
That's the rib place.
Oh boy. Oh boy. No, man. The rib place, you would be waiting for the blues truck to come by.
Right,
You know,
right,
that's when you go to the
exactly.
good rib place, dude.
You hear, Muddy Waters or
Yeah.
some sort of, Buddy Rich. I don't know.
Oh boy. No, we're talking.
No, but
blues here.
I remember it's so funny because in high school I had a few I kind of crossed over where I had a few Mexican friends, but I also had like
Crossed over.
a few white friends too.
Yeah.
And
Does
then,
it feel honestly like once you start having friends that are what do you call them? What do you say now? People of color, well, Mexican friends. Did you
Right.
feel like you, or just in this case, did you feel like you crossed over a little bit?
No, because I feel like they were already pretty assimilated already too. Like
Yeah.
they were very into the white culture as well. Like because I could, all
That's
of
the
my
thing.
like Spanish friends spoke English
Yeah.
and were all raised in America. It's not like I don't know if any of them were illegal or anything.
No, man. But it's
But
like,
but it wasn't.
we're into
like,
everything.
I didn't care about that, even if
Yeah.
it was the case or whatever. And I don't think we ever treated one another like differently. It wasn't like, oh, he's Mexican, I gotta like act differently than
No.
in front of this white guy. But there would be little things where like my white friends would be like, why are you eating that fucking like corn from that vendor? And I'm like, cause it's fucking good.
would you just randomly be like, wait, hold up, and then just go right?
Yeah, like,
oh man,
because they would see the guy coming around the corner, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't, and I would only be like,
life is presenting you
I'm-
an opportunity.
I'm getting some fucking corn,
Yeah.
and they're like, they thought it was like something that was gonna like give them some disease or whatever,
Yeah,
and
man,
I'm
you-
like, dude, you don't know what good food is,
Dude, if anybody
because
taught
it
me
didn't
that,
come from like some actual like they would go to Taco Bell before
Yeah.
this guy, and you're like, dude, this guy's making way better food than Taco
exactly,
Bell.
dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my cravings sometimes.
Clearly,
but
the fourth meal is hitting
exactly.
you.
Oh yeah, the fourth wheel, dude. Oh man, but I don't know. I always love that stuff though. Like, did you ever get the raspados?
What's that?
With the big block of ice, the guy would come around with the shopping cart.
Oh yes, the shaved ice stuff.
Yeah,
Yes, mm-hmm.
and that was like a little show, you know. You know, and he's like,
They had it, yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely did a little work for you.
Yeah, man. I love that stuff, dude.
And then I knew there was also, I don't know what they called it, but it was like this pickled cactus thing. Where it
Oh,
was like,
dude.
it was just like, and it was literally like you could see like it was like just spades of cactus without the thorns in them.
Yeah.
But it was
Dude,
pickled
Nepalese,
in
dude.
some way where it was like, oh, dude, that's so good.
And it's like a weird texture because it's like
Mhm.
kind of
Not-
crunchy,
not
kinda,
like a pickle,
No,
but
a little slimy, but it's like good slimy.
yeah,
It's kind of
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah.
Go out there, eat some nopales, people.
that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I would
man.
always just be like that.
Yeah, man.
I want that.
Yeah, dude, those cactuses, cacti. Oh, we're talking about cacti here. They're delicious. Yeah, you wouldn't think, and people
No.
are just like, oh, these Mexicans, they have a bunch of cactus in their front yard, but it's cacti.
Like, oh wow, you can actually eat that?
Yeah, it's delicious.
And it's
dude.
actually not bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they eat it raw. I mean,
Dude, you can.
I only had it when it was in that like brine or whatever. Yeah,
and people roast it.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah,
yeah.
my sister makes great cactus.
And who doesn't love good Mexican food? I mean, besides cactus. I mean,
dude, I don't
always
understand
down.
it. Yeah, and yeah, wherever there's like racism, we should just put Mexican restaurants. You know what I mean? Because you can't hate us and love us at the same time. You know what I mean?
Well,
or who knows what that means?
It's always interesting to me where people are like, you know, thinking that like Mexicans are the minority. Like I've always went like, what? There's always been way more Mexicans around here.
Yeah,
than,
definitely in LA, you feel like, yeah, but then it gets into like.
But I've never thought it was a bad thing. I'm not like, why are all these Mexicans here?
Yeah,
like,
it's different ways.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot of them here. They're awesome. Or their food's great too.
That's the one thing that you don't really notice until you start driving into like the middle of the country. You know, like I went to Utah, and that's one thing I really noticed. There wasn't any, or at least I didn't see any. You know, while I was there. But I actually saw a burrito place that was pretty good. So there's somebody there teaching them. You know,
some Mexican that went like, I think I want to be Mormon, eh?
Yeah, who knows, dude? I'm telling you, we're everywhere. We're all different types. You know what I mean? Like the most metal person I know or knew was Mexican. The most goth person I knew was Mexican. You know, like we're everywhere, dude.
Yes. I definitely know they're everywhere for sure.
Yeah.
But I embrace it. I'm like, yeah, I wish we were culturally more like, okay, they're going to learn like English. Well, you need to learn their stuff too. So like, you know, from age 3 years old, like I wish my parents were teaching me Spanish because that would have been awesome.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
Just on an economic thing too. Like, I mean, just being bilingual, like makes you, you know, an extra $20K a year at least.
That's what they say. Yeah. You know, I mean, but I think right now, I mean, a lot of this shit is going to eventually blow over. I don't think people can stay this upset at each other for that long, you know?
Well, I mean, I think just once you realize, like, once you have your own personal experience with another culture, that's when it is. Like, okay, these people are just like me. I know, my neighbor's been, you know, this Chinese person, and he's awesome, and he gives me food, and he, you know, watches my dog when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Like, you know?
No, and that's really what it comes down to.
But when you don't have an experience like that, then it's just like, yeah, what's up with them foreigners? They're taking our jobs, blah, blah, blah. And it's like...
Because you only echo your own
you don't know You don't know anybody. That's why you hate them.
Yeah, what's that one movie, was it Gran Turismo? Or is that Gran Turismo with the video game?
Right, with
Gran Torino.
Right, with Clint Eastwood, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like that kind of thing where it's like if you're just isolated, I don't know, man.
Because I think, like, if we go into, like, an apocalypse type of scenario or, like, some sort of, like, you know, weird, like, dystopian future.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, we're not going to worry about race. Like,
no,
we're not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to save this guy because he's black. It's like, no, the zombies are going to get us. I'm going to save this dude because I don't want him to get eaten by zombies.
Exactly, man. When we were in Utah, we were going to all these, you know, national parks, and it was amazing. I've never thought I'd be, you know, impressed by that stuff, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. And that's one thing that you realize, like being out there, that like this is the one thing that matters. Like you'll be walking for a long time, and you see somebody turn the corner, and you're like, oh shit, I'm so happy that I saw this person.
Right,
because
any person.
Exactly, because you know that wherever they went, they survived it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And maybe you guys can be helping each other, you know?
Right.
But I didn't see that person turn the corner and be like, you know, who'd you vote for? Or what race they were or anything like that. It was like, it was really strange. Just being out there and isolated. It was that place where they filmed Star Trek.
Oh, right.
Was it Monuments Valley or something?
Yeah. Where all the rocks and where it looks like another planet.
Yeah. And it was really cool because it was almost like a Star Trek lesson, you know, that you learned. Like, oh, we're all the same, you know?
Man, Gene Roddenberry was right.
Is that the guy that wrote it?
I believe he created Star Trek, yes.
Oh, boy, dude. I just got into it in the last couple of years.
What's your favorite series?
No, I'm not even there. I'm just watching the movies.
The movies?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the movies
but are cool.
cool.
I like the early episodes of the
original series.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Kirk and fucking Shatner.
Because they're kind of campy, you know?
Of course.
Yeah,
and
pretty cool.
And just like you said, there's a message. You know, obviously the first layer is just, oh yeah, it's science fiction. They're in, you know, space. That's cool.
Yeah.
They're using lasers. Awesome. But beyond that, it's like, no, they're trying to like say like, hey, we're all one, you know, like
I feel like all science fiction's like that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's what every science fiction tries to portray is like, eventually we get all past this bullshit.
Yeah. And then later when it's just like, well, somehow we learn to live with this bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, I think usually, too, obviously we would get real close to one another if aliens did show up.
Dude,
humans would be like,
that.
I don't care if you're black, we're human.
Yeah, man. Because I always say that, like, how I hope it happens.
Yes.
While, like, these two people are getting into some, like, racial argument.
Reagan
at
said
that moment, they have to, Reagan said this.
Reagan said that if the aliens showed up, like, racism would pretty much go away.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Was that when he was going a little...
He was a little senile towards the end.
Yeah.
We don't want to say it's a given or like confirmed.
Yeah.
But there's a big speculation. Definitely after he was president, for sure.
Yeah, man.
But even if he was fully coherent, I do want to say that most presidents definitely get pushed by somebody in the behind the scenes. There's always a machine that's going, this is what you're doing today, this is who you're meeting, this is what you're going to talk about, this is blah blah blah. Like, he's got an itinerary for everything for the next 4 years. He's every day's planned out for him already in advance.
Oh boy.
It's not like he's choosing like, well, I don't want to talk to that guy today.
Yeah, man, it must suck. You
I'm
must
just
have all
gonna
your
do this
time
today.
accounted for.
I'm just going to watch Stranger Things all day today, guys. I'm binge watching Stranger Things.
It must be weird after you become like Obama, like afterwards he had to catch up on everything.
No
There's
shit.
no way that he like saw like Breaking Bad or...
None of that. He had to get told that.
When did Sopranos end?
In like 90 or like 2003.
Oh, what the hell am I talking about?
Yeah, it started in like 98 or something like around then.
Oh boy.
96.
Well, what other big shows do you think you would have missed?
Well,
this is what we're talking about, people.
What do you think? Yeah, Obama has to catch up on.
Yeah.
Well, probably. Do you think he even watches like House of Cards, or do you think that's like too inside baseball?
Yeah. Why would he want to watch that?
Yeah, he probably also is like, this is totally fake, and
he would probably just hate it. And
not only that, but since Kevin Spacey's stupid now, now we can't even watch it without thinking stupid things. That's what I want to do. I want to make a parody of Stranger Things and call it Stupid Things.
Hey, you didn't reach too far for that. But what is it?
It's me trying to get to the upside down, but it's me just literally like just trying to like walk on my ceiling.
So you're just doing stupid things.
Yeah, stupid things. Yeah, like
that's pretty good, dude.
But they all have to like kind of coincide with like the lore of Stranger Things. It's like me trying to like recreate the like magic of Stranger Things.
But it's you.
But it's
just
me just being stupid. Yeah,
who knows? Nowadays, you might be able to distribute that somewhere.
I have it. Yeah. Well, obviously, if I could, if I have a YouTube account, I could distribute it very easily.
All you need. Nowadays, that's all you need.
That's the thing. Like, am I going to make money off this? No. Could I actually have it reach millions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Could this be my legacy? Of course.
I could be the next angry cat or grumpy cat. I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, there's not even an angry cat. That's not even a thing yet. But now that I said it, it's a thing.
Well, it is.
Yeah, because what would be the difference between like grumpy cat and angry cat?
Violence.
Violence. It's a grumpy cat with a knife.
Yeah. Oh, look, she knows
he's
talking.
just the same face, just holding a gun.
Yeah.
How does he have opposable thumbs? I don't know.
Yeah. Would you be honestly, if your cat tomorrow had like little hands, would you
How weird would you feel about that?
I think it would be weirder if it just started to talk. Like if I could like...
So you wouldn't care if it had hands?
Like human? It had
but they were like
little human
hairy,
hands.
Yeah.
But they were hairy, but like they just walked on human hands.
Yeah, well, just like the front ones.
And then they could like pick up stuff and whatnot. Wow, that would be a game changer. I think they would take over.
Would you rather want that than them talking?
I think if they talked, I could control them more because I could reason with them.
Control them? Why would you want to
But
do
that's
that?
the thing. With communication, that means that they're like intelligent enough to like reason and have like, you know, judgment and whatnot.
But who knows that their reasoning would be like ours?
Exactly. Like
You
maybe
know?
they have a different like code of ethics
Or
because they're
anything,
cats.
yeah. I mean, because your cat, I was petting her and she was biting me at the same time. You know, so
Okay, you keep bringing up that like
Hey,
my cat keeps biting you.
no, I know she's sweet. Look, you saw a few times she's come over here and been very sweet to me. I'm not
Everybody
making
that's
fun of you.
interacted with my cat has seen the sweet and salty side of her.
Who's ever gotten bit? Oh, you don't have to tell me, but have people gotten bit?
They've gotten bit like you've gotten bit, where it's been love bites, not real bites. Did she break skin?
No.
See, then that's not a bite.
See, I guess I just need to be around more cats. Because puppies are like that.
Right, exactly. Treat it like that, where they're just kind of like just gnawing on you,
Yeah.
but they're not like actually like putting pressure. It's like they're just kind of just putting your hand in their mouth.
Puppies love that, dude.
But if you can tell, like, there's a difference, like, because I've had her actually, like, be, like, there's been a person that actually, like, you know, pet her in a way where she definitely did bite.
Oh, yeah, there's certain places they don't like.
And I was, and she clearly was making a sound and growled and did all this stuff where you're like,
They warn you.
yeah,
They always warn you.
and she was just like, oh, like, she's just playing, like, and I'm like, I don't think that's a play.
Yeah.
I know what playing is, and she doesn't play like that with me, so.
Yeah.
And then, of course, yeah, she did get bit, and, like, I wouldn't say she needed, like, stitches or anything.
Because that's the thing. I've never been bit like that. And I've seen some people
But
where,
it
like,
get-
the bites are gnarly, dude.
She did draw blood, for sure.
Yeah.
But I warned her. I told her, like, don't do it.
Has she ever
Don't-
bitten you like that?
No. I've never gotten bit where it's broken skin.
Wow.
Like, she does. She just play bites, you know? But it's hard to tell people
Do you think
that there's a difference between a play bite and
Yeah.
a real bite.
Well, if people don't know, there's a portrait, and we could talk a little bit about maybe, of that tiger.
I've brought it up. Yep. I have a tiger painted.
Yeah.
Painted by my grandfather. It's he
Beautiful.
painted that when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
Yep. I've had that for a long
7
time.
years. Oh, yeah.
7 years. Yep. I'm a brisk 18,
Yeah.
guys, if you didn't notice. I just know all these facts because I'm just well read.
Yeah.
I didn't actually
Wiki, dude.
experience any of it.
Yeah.
You're on the cusp of now being middle aged.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
No, I'm
does
hoping
does
we're
it suck
gonna-
that I said that?
No. But I'm
Do you like being 30?
it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Did you do anything like big for your birthday?
Not at all. Not at all.
Just
No,
another
I
day.
actually-
Just I went to McDonald's.
No, I mean,
Got a sundae.
as far as like, we didn't do anything big, but what the hell is there to do that's big? You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, I mean,
it's
I
something
guess-
that I enjoyed. I loved it. You know, we went to this place, Musso and Frank's,
Yeah.
you know, and you order a meal you can't really afford, you know, you know, and get a few drinks, and
They have
it's
comedy
good.
there too.
Do they really?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do a set. there.
Greg Proops, he does a lot of his shows there.
Really?
He does like his live podcast as well as just regular
Yeah.
stand up.
Wow. I would love to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
Not just him. I mean, they host a lot of stuff there.
yeah, I don't know. I would love to go there. I love those old places in Hollywood.
Of course.
You know?
And it's like old, relatively old, where we're like talking about like they were built in the 50s.
Yeah, I think actually Musso's maybe almost on 100, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. But one of my favorite places that just opened up again. I mean, do you hang out actually downtown?
Not recently, but
Yeah.
I've definitely been there my fair share of times for
Yeah.
sure.
No, they've got the Cliftons that just reopened, you
Mhm.
know?
Cool.
And man, it is so cool. It's just like you go in there and it's just different rooms, you know, and it's like
And it's all remodeled.
completely remodeled, and it's like there's rooms that are like some weird like forest, another room's like a tiki room, another room you feel like you're in like some like Art Deco like party.
Cool.
And yeah, it's cool, and then people go dressed up, and I feel like I don't know, it's just like I've never been to a place like that, you know, and I was there before it got restored, and it was like a real kind of cafeteria, you know, and like you see people that are in there just to get out of the street for a little bit, get food which wasn't that expensive, and
now it is.
a little bit, yeah. You know, it's not to say that it's not better, but there's just lost that little bit. It's two different places in some ways, you know.
Right.
But it's a cool place, man.
Yeah, there are so many different, cool bars. The thing is about me is that, you know, obviously since I live in Long Beach, driving to downtown is a good hour at least.
Yeah.
And just to go to a cool bar, I don't know if I want to drive an hour.
That's the thing. I
Like,
mean,
when I was,
if you're
like,
gonna go up
young-
to Hollywood, especially.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was in my youth, like when I was first turning 21, and when I was first getting into that scene, it was all about like, yeah, let's go to LA, let's do the Hollywood, let's go to the whiskey,
you think that's the
all
only
that
place.
shit. Yeah, because that's all the places that you hear about.
Yeah.
And then clearly, like once you start to like actually get like a few drinks under your belt and a few parties under your belt, and you're realizing like, oh wait, if I'm going to be drinking, I don't want to be like 50 miles away from my house.
Exactly, dude. No, and I mean, what I would always do, which is so dumb, is like you take like an Uber.
This was way before Uber for me too. Like
man.
when I was 21, there was no Uber.
Dude, I feel like now Uber's facilitated.
There was a
so many-
taxi, and the taxi would have been $50 at least.
Yeah, dude.
One way.
Do you remember that? Like a taxi was like from here to Torrance, like $60.
Yeah, and you would have had to like schedule it. Like,
Yeah.
call them like
They
a day in
wouldn't show up
advance.
forever.
No.
When I was a kid, that's what we used to do. We like teens, you know, you call up in the phone book. It's like, oh, I gotta go home late, you know.
Yeah.
And you call your taxi, you know. It's like too late to walk home or whatever.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. But now it's funny because it's like the same reasons that eventually that they were upset about, you know, not having benefits, and then Uber came in. You know, it's like, well, we'll have other riders that are just kind of on contract. Now they want benefits. So it's like, eventually it all kind of comes full circle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, eventually, once every business gets to a certain level, they all end up being the same business.
Yeah, and I wonder if like prices eventually, they would have to go up. You
Of
know,
course.
And
Especially when unions get involved and there's like, a division of power.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those vested interests will try to do whatever it takes to hold that power. They're not going to give it up.
Yeah, man.
But unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of those taxi services have given it up.
So, yeah, they were probably in power for so
Because
long.
who uses them now?
No, really. I mean, I honestly only see like super, super, super tourists in them. Like maybe coming from the
It's always airport, yeah.
Yeah. But I never see like regular people, even like older people. They're in like a Uber, like looking at their phones, you know?
Right.
Most people know to call. But in other cities, you can still call them. I think it's just LA, really.
Well, it's not, Uber's not in every city.
Yeah. Because in New Orleans, we were still going in taxis, and I love that.
Right.
You know? Because the one difference between like taxi, I feel like, and some Ubers is like, actually, maybe that's too general, but I feel like I've had a lot of good conversations in taxis, you know?
Really?
Yeah. Just because like people, they know how to talk. They've been doing this for so long.
I had a taxi guy give me a free ride in Vegas because I guessed a song.
No way.
In like, he told me like, okay, because there was a bunch of us in like, and we were all fucking drunk, hanging out, going from like the Rio to like, Caesars or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'll give you guys a free ride if you can guess the next song that's coming up on the radio in
So you had it all set up.
in under 2 seconds. So he was gonna like just have it play for 2 seconds, and then he was gonna turn the radio off. And then of course it was fucking Crazy by fucking CeeLo.
No way. Was it?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, I can't think of the intro right now. But
So it was, the intro was just that bass where it's doom 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 doom.
Oh.
I remember when. I remember. Mm-mm. So you just hear that doom doom doom, and of course I'm like CeeLo, and he's like, "All right, guys, your ride is free." And then the whole ride there, like from that moment on, we were just like in the best mood.
Was he bummed?
Of course.
Did he probably like? Oh,
He was like, I did not
see that
think
coming.
this was gonna
Exactly.
happen, and it happened. But you could definitely tell like he was also kind of like on something too.
Oh wow.
He was very chatty, very like almost too chatty. Where you're like, I understand a little banter, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously it's the like usual like, where you
It's like
guys
the
from?
barber, like hair salon kind of. Oh, they got that too. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's kind of just like something that's make this pleasant. You know.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of silence for a minute.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
No, but it was the other side of it where it's like, dude, maybe a little silence would be nice right
Yeah.
about now.
No.
Or maybe you should just turn up that crazy for a minute.
Was he? Well, like, give me an example. Was he driving erratically too? Or?
No, because we were mostly in traffic
Yeah.
pretty much the whole time. But he was like, he was asking us all the like, you know, generic banter, but it was like the like kind of sped
just
up,
shooting
like,
it off.
like
So where you guys from? Oh, LA? That's cool. I love LA, man. I was there like last week.
you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. He's got like this crazy underbite,
Like-
just like.
You ever been to the like boiler room? It's really cool over there.
You're like, no, I haven't. Where is it?
It's on La Cienega.
You're like,
Yeah, dude.
cool.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
And then you're like, yeah, when's this ride over?
That's when you feel uncomfortable, man. And that's only happened to me in Ubers, and I think that's why, you know, because I've definitely had it where, and I mean, you can't help it, but I mean, somebody's having a bad day, and then they'll start talking about, and I imagine it sucks, dude. Like, if you're in an Uber or an Uber driver and you've got all these people just coming in different personalities, you
Yeah.
know, I'm sure it's draining.
Yeah.
And then you just catch them at the wrong time where they're ready to just like unload on you. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I feel like a lot of them have like confided in me how they feel. And by the time I get to where I get to, I'm like drained too, you know?
Yes. Yeah. It's like you want to be nice, but then after like there's a moment where you're like, I don't care anymore.
Well,
Not
it's
that I don't
but it's like,
care.
what can I
It's-
do?
Yeah,
you know?
like clearly whatever I have to say is gonna be just inconsequential.
And no, I felt bad for
You're
this
just
guy.
basically just reassuring, like, yep,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I hear you.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I get it. And then, but that's the thing. Yeah, they're looking for an ear
Exactly.
or a shoulder.
And sometimes, I mean, the guy that dropped me off today, man, he was really cool. And he was just like kind of complaining a little bit, you know, at first.
Oh, you took an over here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just because, I mean, when he told me, when I saw where he lived, I was like, there's no way I'm going to find parking.
right.
know, it's
Right.
tricky,
No, that
dude.
makes it even better. Yeah.
That, you know, and
Hell yeah.
I don't know, man, but this guy, yeah, he dropped me off and he was just saying like how, I thought he was complaining because he was talking about his day yesterday and how bad it was. Now everybody's like, man, they just like expect every little thing. They don't even say thank you. But today it's been
Like,
great.
what do they expect besides getting to their destination?
I don't know. Because I really do feel like
They wanted
sometimes
me to
people want
blow
be
them.
friends.
They wanted me to do their taxes.
Oh, no, I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes people, well, I don't know. I mean, people just don't want you to be like a dick in the sense that don't get in the car and imagine. I mean, I'm not an Uber driver,
Right.
But at least I would imagine that just certain people that get in and have no contact at all with that person.
Oh yeah, they pretend like they don't even know English or
Exactly.
whatever. It's like they just Which I don't know if that's better.
You see, that's the thing. Because I've done both. Where like I get in the car and I'll put in my, you know, headphones because I don't necessarily want to talk, and then I feel like I somehow upset them.
What if they do that move where they're like, "Oh, you could pick the station, bro. Like here,
That
I
is
have
the worst
Pandora."
thing. That is the worst thing. Why would you subject yourself to that? You know, as an Uber driver, there's no way like that you would ever.
But then there's that other extreme too, where they're just like bumping like samba music or whatever.
Dude, I honestly love
The
hearing what
soca.
the hell they're listening to.
Right.
I was in a car the other day where the guy, I didn't notice it at first, but he was playing like his demo.
Awesome.
Because it was really
He's
bad
just-
metal.
And he's like, "This is really cool, right? This is
No, but it was the thing. He would play like a Coldplay song or something.
Awesome.
You know, it was on a mix. And then all of a sudden, it was like Frankenstein's Lair.
just throw it in."
Yeah, and then it was like this snare, just boom, gunk, boom, gunk. You know,
Right,
and then he was like
right,
soloing for like 12 minutes. And I don't know. I feel
And
like
then afterwards, he's like, "Hey, what'd you think about that?" I mean, I don't know anybody in that band, but
it was
you know,
very weird.
If you had to like put it on a number 1 to 10 scale, like
Where would you put it?
Yeah, would you say that? Like a 9?
It's my friend's band, yeah. No, man, it was weird. I didn't get the sense that, like, I don't know, he didn't want to, like, say it, but I felt like he wanted me to say it. Like, hey, who is this? They're so good.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And he kept trying, and every song was so bad.
Yes.
It just wasn't for me. This guy could be listening right now, and Frankenstein's Lair might be.
That's what the band's literal name was?
It was something like Frankenstein, I'm sure. Yeah. For a fact, it was Frankenstein.
Did they license that? I bet they didn't.
Who knows, dude?
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about band names?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what would your band name be?
Well, I was in a band that we called The Little Pieces.
Oh, nice.
You know, and then that guy that wrote that book about was it Million Little Pieces that lied about being
lied about actually being involved with the Iraq War or something like that.
No. Yeah, I think it was that he said that he was like an addict and he overcame it.
Oh, that's right.
Or something like that.
And he didn't really have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People used to always ask us if that was the,
right.
relation.
You guys used to be addicts or something?
Or something, It's like, oh, you guys like referencing that guy that lied,
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, we are.
So it's just funny, man, because it's like whatever name you get, like somehow someone could always make it like feel really dumb about it.
Well, I think that might be enough.
Yeah, that sounds good, dude.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, man.
Yeah, this was your first podcast that you've ever done.
Yeah, man, it was pretty cool. And it was very nice to have your cat around, actually.
Yeah.
Every little once in a while, if I ever felt a little funny, she'd come around.
It's like a sympathy cat.
Yeah,
she'd be like, yeah,
it's
man,
fine.
I like it.
You
Keep
sound
saying
dumb,
that.
but it's okay.
Well, I definitely want to thank Alex Rubio for coming in and sharing
I'd like to
some
thank Daryl.
laughs. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's
Anytime,
my first
man.
time. This is very cool.
Well, we'll have to have you on again, as well as maybe have another guest. Do a dual
Please.
episode. Yeah. And then do you want to throw out the social media? Any of the?
No, just go find me on Facebook. That's the problem, man. I got to get back on the social media. But yeah, find me on Facebook, Alex Rubio. That's really it.
Perfect. Yep. Do it. Or not. Don't worry, guys.
Come out to the Lexington. That's one thing. Support that place. Very cool
Any
place.
day of the week,
Yes.
go to the Lexington out in LA, guys. If you want to do
Support each other.
Yeah.
Come on, we're living in some crazy times. Let's support each other too.
Exactly. All right, guys, but definitely follow me, obviously, at thiscomicslifepod or the D Stories on Twitter. And also, if you love Sex in the City, follow the best podcast that's going episode by episode in very detailed, just hilarity with myself and April Latshaw. We're doing it. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be awesome. Just go to You're Such a Sex in the City podcast, wherever you get podcasts. So on that note, I want to thank Alex again, and tune in. Just rate and subscribe. Tell a million friends if you found this mildly amusing. And
Bye-bye.
Bye. Guys, you've been listening to